College is the best 4 years of your life. It's nothing but alcohol, drugs, and sorority girls. Is what you might think if you've never actually attended college. And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the idea that you're going to spend the entire time being still awake at 5 a.m. writing a 10-page paper that's due at 8 a.m. with nothing to comfort you but a cold bowl of ramen and your tears. And while everything I've mentioned so far is a part of college, I found that the vast majority of it was somewhere in between these two extremes. And nothing exemplifies this middle ground better than the assorted adventures of the boys of my dorm floor last year. One of them was a YouTuber called ZebulonTV, and he's here to help me tell these stories.
Yo, how's it going, guys?
He and I were on the boys' side of the second floor of the shittiest, cheapest building on the campus of a very mediocre state school. What a start. And since we were on the boys' side, that implies that there was also a girls' side.
Our keys had access to both sides, and this was actually very nice for us, so if we had any really hot girlfriends over, we could take them over to the girls' side and let them go to the bathroom.
So between the two sides, there was the main staircase for the whole building. No elevator, by the way. But there was another staircase all the way at the end of our floor that went down to the basement. But on the basement on our side was just the laundry room. But the half of the basement that was under the girls' side was locked, so it was all shrouded in mystery.
I was just prowling around the girls' side at 3:30 in the morning one night, for no particular reason by myself, and I caught myself wondering what could possibly be at the bottom of the girls' side staircase. And I realized I had the perfect opportunity to find out. So I went down there, and what I saw was absolutely shocking. So the very next night, I told a bunch of my other friends on the floor, including Sean.
Yeah, you guys were being pretty loud.
Shut up, Sean, I'm not done yet. Yeah, I'm done. You can go.
So they told me about a discovery that was made deep below the girls' side. And I was like, alright, well, that's better than finance homework, I'm in. So we gather around the girls' side door, and we know that once we cross that threshold, there's no going back. I mean, all of our keys just opened that door, so really getting through it was not an obstacle at all, but it was suspenseful. So anyway, we step through, and it's a perfect mirror of our floor. As we walk through, we pass all of our own rooms, but they have different numbers on them. And of course, we have to assume that there's just female versions of ourselves staying in them. But the shock of this revelation had worn off by the time we got to the end of the hallway and their staircase. We stepped through that door and descended to our fates. At the bottom was this dark, dirty little room. I kind of got the impression that they were doing some renovations around there and that students weren't supposed to be in the area. The wall opposite the staircase was actually just a sheet of plywood with a little door cut out into it and a hole where the doorknob should have been. This was as far as Chris had gotten previously.
I peeked through the doorknob hole, and what I saw was a dimly lit room with a dirt floor and wooden furniture strewn about.
And you could tell that this room led further into the basement. So we were just about to open it and step in when suddenly, hey! It was a voice from above. Get back up here and go to your floor, the RA from the girls' side told us. So at this point we were like, I guess we were walking around somewhere we weren't supposed to go, being very loud during a time when the RAs are patrolling. We figured we were in no position to argue. I remember thinking that I might try to go back there at some point with a smaller group, but I never did.
I never went back down there, but I have a friend who did, and he said that he found out the door was bolted shut.
So I guess no one will ever know what's in the rest of the basement. But this group that we had on our floor was actually pretty close-knit. I'd say we were pretty lucky, honestly.
Absolutely.
A lot of us kept our doors open and we hung out all the time. But our most sacred tradition was Thirsty Thursday. I think I'll make another video about these sometime, but we would all just gather up in somebody's room and drink root beer because most of us were under 21 at that point. Chris usually came to these, but he didn't always sit around the whole time.
No.
But normally while we were sitting there well into the night, he would come in and say something like,
"You can make me go to a psychologist and you can put me on pills, but now that I live by myself, nobody can stop me from eating my own toenails."
But one fine Thursday, the fire alarm went off. Years of academy training told us that we should exit the building promptly. All 55 of us who share the one communal bathroom had to funnel our way through the doorway to the main staircase. Eventually, we made it out into the brisk October air. The floor 2 boys all eventually found each other. We were in the middle of discussing whether or not this was a drill when one of them goes, "Oh no, my Yeezys!" and runs back into the building.
We weren't even 100% sure if it was a drill yet.
But regardless, he went back in to save his brand new Yeezys, which were still in the box. All we could do is just stand there and watch the door and see if he came back out. And at last, he burst through the door onto the landing above the crowd, holding up his box of Yeezys successfully saved from the fire.
And then everyone clapped.
And for the first time ever, that was actually true. So as we said, Chris and I were on the same dorm floor last year, and we both have YouTube channels, which could hardly be more different, by the way, which I thought would make for an interesting collab. I don't know exactly how I would describe your videos. What would you say?
Well, if you don't have a surreal sense of humor, don't bother subscribing. It's going to change your perception about me in a way that is absolutely mind-numbing.
Make sure you go subscribe to Zebulon TV and watch all his videos, because he's got some really crazy stuff, and I'm not sure if anyone else would be able to come up with it. For this collab, Chris is in my video here, but then I'm also in one of his on his channel that he's posting on the same day, so make sure you go check that one out. I'll post a link somewhere here. If the coronavirus doesn't brutally murder every one of us, I'll see you next time.